إنا أنزلنا إليك الكتاب بالحق لتحكم بين الناس بما أراك الله.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على حبيبنا رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم. In the story of Khidr and Musa عليهم السلام, Khidr teaches Musa عليه السلام about patience because Musa عليه السلام wasn't able to bear the things that Khidr was doing. He had to say something, and Khidr told him in the end, this is where you and I part. Khidr did 3 actions. The first one was causing a damage to a boat, causing some damage to a boat and causing it to have a hole in it. The second thing was that he killed a boy. And the third thing that he did was he lifted a wall that had treasure underneath. Now, all of these actions occurred on the hands of Khidr. He was the one that did them. However, the verb that's used in these 3 instances is arada, which means to want or to desire or to intend. Now, the doer we know is Khidr. However, the doer of each action that is mentioned in these stories is attributed to somebody different each time. So what do we mean by that? Well, in the case of the boat, when Khidr made a hole in the boat and he was explaining to Musa why he did that and the wisdom behind it, Khidr, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَعِيبَهَا, I wanted to damage it. Now, the verb aaba is used here, that he wanted to cause a flaw in it or damage it or make a hole in it. So this verb here has a bad meaning, and it's not befitting that Allah be associated with a word or his name beside a word that would have a bad or negative meaning. So Khidr takes full responsibility and the action is completely attributed to him alone. So Allah says, فَأَرَدْتُ أَنْ أَعِيبَهَا. Allah says that this action goes right back to Khidr only, right? Now, when Khidr starts talking about the boy he killed, when he killed this boy, what happened? He killed the boy, which is a bad action, but then something good came out of it, right? So whereas the first instance, it's just what appears to be a bad action with a bad meaning. So it's attributed only to Khidr. Now, the second instance where Khidr killed the boy, he feared that this boy would be a great burden on his parents when he grew up. So he would be replaced with a more pious son, which would be beneficial to the parents. So something bad and something good came out of it. So Allah says, فَأَرَدْنَا. So we wanted, we intended, we desired. So now Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in the equation here of the action of Khidr. So the good part of this, where the boy would be replaced with somebody better, is attributed to Allah, and the killing is attributed to Khidr. So there is a musharaka, or there's a sharing going on in this action here between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala being mentioned and Khidr being mentioned. And then when Khidr tells Musa about the raising of the wall and the treasure underneath it, this action had only goodness that came out of it. This action only had goodness come out of it. So only Allah is referred to here. Allah says, فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ. فَأَرَادَ رَبُّكَ. So Khidr is completely taken out of the equation. So there's 3 things that happened. All took place on the hands of Khidr, but because of the bad meaning of the first one, only this action is attributed to Khidr. And when the action had goodness and something bad in it, it was mentioned that it was Allah and Khidr. فَأَرَدْنَا. So this action goes back to Allah and Khidr. And when the action just had good in it, only Allah was mentioned and not Khidr. Subhanallah. Look at the accuracy of the Qur'an. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.